Yo, 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 what's up, y'all? It's your boy Big Mike in the building. Swish for real. I got my two co-hosts in the house, Boogie Bob and Wild Dog. Wild Dog, man, how you living today? How's life treating you, man?
I'm good. Dropped off my son for his trip, and of course I'm missing him already. So life is good, man. Getting the quality time this month and enjoying the summer a bit, and just seeing him become a soldier, man. Seeing him, become you know, coming into his manhood. So
That's
those
beautiful.
those morning workouts and the weight training, and then he goes straight into basketball, and then seeing him come in, and then mix up his protein shake, you know. and then and finding unique ways to get his egg intake in, because you got to give the body that protein so it can
Mhm.
repair and strengthen and build up the muscle. It's like, yeah.
Look, just let him know. I know he probably don't want to play me anytime soon, but whenever he wants to get his revenge on that chessboard, I'll be waiting for him.
Yeah. Today it was different. He got on the chessboard and played himself. That's the kind of stuff I used to do. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
I have to play him though. And our other co-hosts in the building, Boogie Bob. Yo, Bob, what's up with you, man?
Just living the life of luxury of retirement and, doing home projects and trying to be a bad dog. Wild dogs are good dogs, so I try to be the bad dog in the house.
Arr,
You
arr,
got
arr,
yeah,
arr, arr.
got to have the yin and the yang. So
Ain't nothing wrong with the yin and the yang. And speaking of yin and the yang, this first player we're going to talk about, he had a puppet made of himself, and it was very popular for a while. And he was pretty popular from a rookie to his first couple of seasons with Orlando Magic. And we're going to talk about and give a deep dive into the career of Penny Hardaway. And we're going to start with you first, Wild Dog. Orlando Magic drafted Penny Hardaway. What was your thoughts on when they picked him up? And you were very impressed with, I'm sure, because he's a very great player, and I can't say a lot of bad things about him. Just his career ended so fast. But give me your thoughts on the career and the legacy of Penny Hardaway.
Yes, sir. So with Penny, it was like so many of us, basketball heads. It's like we're already fans because you hear, I'm from Kentucky, so we would hear about, the best players coming out of the region, like out of Tennessee, Illinois, Ohio, all of that. So, back then we didn't have social media, so it was like whispers and newspaper clippings and listening to hopefully your favorite radio station that talks sports would kind of keep you in the know, so you knew who to ask for or what to check on. And so we even had people who being around the military who were even from the Memphis area, and you would get their newspapers. So we've been reading about Penny since um, following him since college, but even getting back on articles and information about him from when he was in high school. So like now they say when people come with their own fan base, I would say if times were different, back then Penny Hardaway had his own fan base, and back then it's kind of hard to gauge. But I'm from Louisville, so I'm a Louisville fan. But man, Penny was much respect and well watched by us,
Yeah.
and 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 sometimes people take offense to it, the Michael Jordan fans, um, but at the time, Penny's marketing was they took it seriously. His
Mm.
marketing was second to none. you know, I mean, and they went all out, right? And I would like to remind people, hey, MJ was definitely part of that picture. MJ probably, maybe had his 2 cents about this today. You never know. We don't
Yeah.
know the story about that, but you never know for you to take offense. But, I'll double down today and say, Little Penny and the commercials, and the quality in which they did it and them going all in with it. And that was just, pure entertainment, pure comedy. you know, for someone who on the floor was, man, don't let the smooth taste fool you. Don't let his smile fool you. He was malicious, right? He's going, he's going to challenge you. This is someone that defenders would be like, yeah, he's a problem for me. Going up against Penny Hardaway was a problem, you know?
So when he played against the Bulls, because that's back, he was drafted in 1993, by the way, as far as Penny Hardaway goes. And that was the Jordan years when the Bulls were at the top in their peak. Jordan has said a couple of things saying, complimenting Penny Hardaway in the way he played. What are your thoughts when he played against Jordan at the time? Do you think he would have been, if he would have stayed healthy throughout his career in Orlando, how far could he have taken the Magic with the Jordan years?
I think what the situation is, sometimes when we're young and youngins, we don't know enough, right, to be scared. But in my opinion, Penny Hardaway was one of the few players that didn't fear Michael and was able to back it up. In my honest opinion, I think that's why MJ, even to this day, would give Penny his flowers, because MJ recognized that at the time.
And Penny was 6'7", so he was a big kid for the most part. Coming out of Memphis made him very tough.
Yeah, he was a football player, man. That's one thing people, you're so great as a basketball star, they forget about, like we encourage youth, there are no off days. There's no off season. Play multiple sports. If you're committed to one sport, then you need to train and play that sport all year round. So Penny was a star football player, and people forget about that. So that really gave him that extra edge and extra mentality as a football player, though he had the lines of a dancer and could finesse and move even with his length, like the logo, kind of congeal and move his body and always have you questioning really where is he going, He can switch it on you in a dime. So yeah, he is a background as a football player. And my favorite thing about Penny is there's two things, is that his real nickname is not Penny. His grandmother used to call him Pretty. But with that Southern Tennessee, Memphis drawl, right? It sounds like Penny, but she's saying Pretty. But to everyone else, when she called his name, it sounded like she was saying Penny.
Penny, yeah.
Of course, you're a grown man. Ain't no grown man gonna call each other Penny. So
Pretty.
Hardaway just went with Penny. Yes, it's Penny.
Yeah.
It's not Pretty. It's Penny. So that's it. And then the newspapers got hold of it, and that was the end of that. So from then on, he was Penny Hardaway. And then the other thing is, like, sometimes we talk about life after when your playing days are over. What are you gonna do? And in Texas, we love having former, retired coaches, retired players come to Texas and retire. What are we gonna do here? Well, we have elite programs. Can you give back? Give back to the youth. Give back to the community. Find your lane. We're here to help you with every resources. So we give a conscious effort of that. And I love that, Penny was able to go back to Memphis, back to the University of Memphis, and coach. And really, I feel like he's coming full circle. For someone I followed for so enamoringly for so long, it just really does my heart so well and so good to see the man come full circle.
Facts. Boogie Bob, man. I know you had a lot of times watching Orlando Magic because that was Penny, Shaq, Anderson. There were so many great players on that squad. Give us your thoughts on Penny Hardaway's legacy, man, as far as him being with, he played for a couple more teams, but I'm pretty sure you got all the stats for the stat heads out there. So kind of deep dive into what he did as far as his career and let the people know your thoughts on Penny Hardaway.
Yeah, Dennis Scott was on that team as well.
Yep.
And Nick Anderson's famous for missing those free throws.
Yep.
The first thing I wrote down, I'm going to draw a comparison. He's one of your favorite players. To me, he is similar to Derrick Rose. Without the injuries, I think Penny would have got at least one chip, maybe two.
Mm. In the Jordan era, it would have been hard.
Yeah. I think that Orlando team, if he doesn't get hurt and Shaq is still there, they could have taken the Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
People forget there was a 2-year period there where, well, Jordan played in late in the playoffs and wore 45, but 94, 95, those two years, it was kind of left the door open. So I think, similar to Derrick Rose, like you said, he was 6'7". Another Michigan player uh, was the only other tall guard other than Magic, Jalen Rose. So, uh, interesting tidbit. One of your favorite players was traded. Most people don't remember that Orlando had the first pick in the draft, and Golden State gave them pick number 3 plus 3 more first round picks. So Golden State drafted Chris Webber at number 1
My guy.
because and I think there's an ESPN 30 for 30. They had brought in several players for a workout, and they brought in Penny Hardaway, and not much of the league knew much about him. And Shaq saw him go through the workout, and he goes, "I want him." And so management listened, and they knew Golden State wanted Chris Webber, so they gave the 3rd pick in that draft and 3 more picks. Now they traded some of those picks, but those 3 picks turned into Vince Carter, Mike Miller, and Todd Fuller.
Todd Fuller is a unknown.
Yeah. So can you imagine Vince Carter, Penny, and Dennis Scott and Nick Anderson with Vince Carter and Shaq on that team? Ooh, that would have been a loaded team. But obviously they traded some of those picks away. Care to guess who was pick number 2 in between Chris Webber and Penny Hardaway?
I would have to say Juwan Howard.
I think John Wanhoward was the next year because he stayed another year.
Oh, he did? Oh, okay, my bad. So I don't know.
John Bradley.
Oh, Lord.
John Bradley out of BYU was picked number 2 by Philadelphia. And here's even more. Mavs finally got lucky and moved up in the draft this year, but back then they had the worst record in the league, and they were stuck with the 4th pick. They took Jamal Mashburn.
The Monster Mash.
The Monster Mash.
3 J's, baby.
And Isaiah Ryder was number 5. But you talk about drafts and, who turned out. Chris Webber didn't even stay in Golden State. He's known as as we talked last week, with the Wizards and Sacramento. I always think about him as Sacramento. But they gave the pick 3 and 3 more first-round picks to get traded down. So here's the stats for Penny Hardaway. 15.2 points a game, 4.5 rebounds a game, 5 assists a game. 14 seasons. He played at Phoenix. So he was also traded along. Phoenix traded Penny Hardaway and Stephon Marbury to the New York Nets in one of those trades. So he only made $120 million. But to an ordinary person, that's a lot of money. But the contracts being signed today, we talked about this on a future who will be the first billion-dollar contract, and they're saying Cooper Flagg, if he hits all the super maxes, he will have, before he hits 10 years, he will be $1 billion. But you just had Devin Booker signed for 73.5 2-year, $145 million. So in 2 years, Devin Booker is going to make what Penny Hardaway made in 14 seasons. He was Rookie of the Year, 4-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA, twice. 2 of those 3, he was on the first team. 3 times he was got MVP voting shares. 4 times, and most people don't think of this with Penny, 4 times he got voting shares for the defensive team, even though he didn't make the defensive team. 92, 93, he was an all NCAA first team All-American with Memphis.
Mm.
And Wild Dog probably knows who the coach was at Memphis back then.
Oh man, I can see him clearly, but I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah, it was before Calipari was there.
Yeah. Memphis was always on, and like I said, when Penny was there, we watched every game. We didn't miss.
Yeah. So when he took over the Memphis program, it's been through a lot of highs and valleys, and he's kind of straightened that program back out and brought, as Wild Dog said, brought back to the community. So, and of course, the commercial marketing of Mini Penny was you couldn't help but laugh,
Little Penny.
Little Penny, yeah.
Little Penny. And he's of all the players from that time frame, people will recognize Barkley and Shaq and those, but Penny's one of those recognizable players and faces, even though the peak of his career was real early, even though he played 14 seasons. But a devastated I think it was a knee injury that.
Yeah. And he had some dope shoes from Nike, man. A lot of those shoes, especially the foam posits, those were really dope. And I don't know if a lot of people know what those are, but look up foam posits and you'll see what kind of shoes Penny Hardaway wore. They're a little heavy on the foot, but they some great shoes.
I heard Nico was trying to trade Cooper Flagg for Penny Hardaway since he was a Nike player. Okay, you listeners, that was a joke. That was a shot fired at Nico. He only brings Nike players to his team.
Gotcha.
Wild Dog can't say that, but I can say that.
You have anything else to add to the topic on Penny Hardaway?
I don't.
Gotcha. And speaking of shots fired, man, everybody's been kind of comparing and putting these two ladies against each other in the WNBA. And Caitlin Clark has been under fire a lot, and she's been compared to what Angel Reese is doing in Chicago. I'm not quite sure why they are putting these two ladies against each other, but I don't think Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese deserve this type of rivalry that they're trying to put, and it's making Caitlin Clark look like, in the sense, not in a lot of guys' eyes, but in the sense of a lot of the WNBA ladies players or the league itself, the ladies don't really like her for whatever reason. And I'm not quite sure, Wild Dog, if you had an opportunity to kind of see what the landscape is as far as how they treating Caitlin Clark on the floor and somewhat off the floor. What are your thoughts on what they're doing? Is she being treated fairly in regards to just being a player in general, or is it just welcome to the WNBA moments until she retires?
Yeah, because on one hand, let me just be transparent. She was a rookie last year. It's like welcome to the WNBA. Shut up and play. You're a rookie. I know you come with your own fan base. I know you're elevating everything, but you're a rookie. You know what I'm saying? Carry my bags, yo. You know what I mean? You're a rookie. But so I wouldn't want to cheat anybody out of their rookie experience. Good, bad, negative, whatever it is. Later in your career, you'll get it. And when the other rookies come, guess what you'll need to do? You'll need to help usher them into the culture. All right?
Mm-hmm.
And some fans, especially new to pro sports, maybe even new to basketball, with this or that. And it's like, well, she's not a rookie anymore. Well, she's a sophomore. And when it comes to the NBA and the WNBA, you're a rookie, you're a sophomore. And so, and I'd be like, all of her records have not only been honored, they've been celebrated already. She's Cece, right? And then her fan base, the WNBA is getting smart, is continuing to grow exponentially. So you got the machine behind you and so forth, and your rookie of the year, your accolades are being honored and celebrated. I'm sorry, I don't have a tear for you. Just keep it moving. Put your big panties on and your big knickers on, and just keep it moving. You're a basketball player. Just keep it moving. Now the issue I think some of the players are concerned about, and what I'm hearing a little bit, and which to me as a player, as a former enforcer, makes sense to me. What they don't want are rule changes. What they don't want is the league over catering to CC and sacrificing the game in doing so. So this is where, when I paint this picture, some people are like, aha. And then some people and other people are like, well, I don't care because you're a CC fan. You're not necessarily maybe a basketball fan. So let me categorize. I know what I'm dealing with. Let me categorize you as a CC fanatic because you're not about protecting the game that we all love. Seek the truth, speak the truth. And that's all I'm trying to do, is not diss CC or the fan. I'm a CC fan, right? I was the one pushing that. We're missing opportunity here. We got Bird Magic 2.0. What are we doing here? We're missing the boat. But at the same time, I can feel them, and you can almost sense it, right? With the pressure and a lot of the complaints and the backlash that the league is ready to bend over backwards and change the game, for CC. Well, then that's better for everybody. Not necessarily. That could be going down a rabbit hole that you would never come out of. You bury.
Let me ask you this question then, Wild Dog, and this is in reference to the WNBA 2K1, 2K25 basketball game, the video game. They got Angel Reese on the cover, and a lot of people are up at arms about that in regards to not putting Caitlin Clark on the cover. But I understand why, because Caitlin's records are down, her stats are down this season, and Angels is up. But I mean, I think these things are decided before the season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, something like this with marketing, like I said, the machine has been behind CC, and they're getting their running shoes on, right? And just to be, again, transparent and honest, when it comes to entertainment and marketing, right? You kind of have to one, hedge your bets, right? You want to go guaranteed. Some people, well, CC is guaranteed. Yeah, but we don't want to lose or neglect the Angel Reese fan base. Well, that's insignificant compared to CC's fan base. We want both, right? we want CC's fan base, and we want Angel Reese's fan base, and we want a double stack.
Yeah.
We don't want to lose anybody. So it's not necessarily about spreading the love in this situation. I don't want that to be any mistake about it. It's a calculated thing. Yeah, you want to respect other young players. You have an opportunity to continue to grow your overall fan base, right? But not leaving Angel Reese and her fan base in the dark. And you want to, and this whole, like you said, comparison, you'll get lost in the sauce with all of that. You have to recognize all these young players coming up are bringing their own fan base and elevating the entire market, the market cap for the WNBA. And you have to understand and recognize that. And it's not just CC.
So in other words, she's not really being treated bad. The marketing machine is what's basically pushing it toward the narrative when it comes to having the two rivals, her against Angel Reese. And I want to get your thoughts on this too, Boogie Bob. Your thoughts? You think they're treating her fairly in regards to whether it be the marketing of her or it just basically, like we said earlier, with her not even being on the cover of that video game? It's interesting to say that she's done a lot last year and she elevated the league because a lot of people started watching way more than usual. Is she being treated fairly, or is it just we just overthinking all this as far as what they're talking about with Caitlin Clark?
My personal opinion is no, she's not being treated fairly. Uh, the NBA, they talk about the brotherhood. Even football teams, they talk when they retire, what they miss the most was the locker room, you
Mm.
know, and the bonds of brotherhood. But I'm going to tell you, sisterhood is a real thing. And I I grew up when they first started integrating schools, middle schools and high schools, and there was a lot of fights. There was a lot of racial fights. There was a lot of just fights, and some of the nastiest fights I saw were when two women were fighting. Uh,
Mm.
they they when two women hate each other, there's no holds barred, and so the sisterhood that built this thing up, the Cheryl Swoops and Cheryl Millers and all that, that they a lot of resentment, and I think Cheryl Swoops spoke out on it, and there was a lot of negativity
Yeah.
thrown back. So I don't think she's being treated fairly from this standpoint. I don't know if you saw the foul, but they were in, you know, Luca took his bumps and bruises his first year, but they weren't trying to injure him. These ladies are trying to knock her out. They're not just trying to foul her; they're trying to injure her and end her career. And if they end her career, then they basically are sabotaging their own ability to make money. Uh,
Yeah.
so they just recently fired three referees, uh, and I'm not being biased here, but all three of them were of the same ethnic background,
Mm.
and not only fired them, but five
They were
hundred
all
thousand
girls,
dollars
right?
fine.
Those referees, were they all girls?
They were all women, and they all African American women. Uh,
Mm.
they were fined $500,000 on top of being fired. Uh, they admitted that they weren't calling fouls that they would call on other players, and what the league had to put a stop to was
Okay.
they didn't call a foul that injured her. You know, they were supporting the sisterhood, that wanted to beat her up. So I mean, she fouled Angela Reese hard, and they made a big deal out of it. It hit the news, but it's like she made a basketball play. She wasn't
Mhm.
trying to hurt Angela Reese. She just made a basketball play. And ever since then, it's like that's one of the reasons Indiana Fever went and got Sophie Cunningham. That's the unspoken bodyguard for Caitlin Clark.
The
And
enforcer.
they were talking about this on the radio. It's like she headlocked one of the players that went after Caitlin Clark and took her down. She
I
got a
love it.
Sophie Cunningham's got a black belt in karate. And so they were saying this is good for the WNBA because everybody likes a fight. They go to a hockey game to see a fight break out. And they said they don't really want that in the WNBA, but if the players are going to be you got to call it both ways. If it's a foul on one player, it's a foul on another. It's like the old joke. Uh, when Jordan would get a foul call and another player on another team got the same thing, didn't get the foul call, we'd say nothing but all stars get the call. NBA, nothing but all stars get the call.
Yeah.
Well, Caitlin
Mm.
Clark is an all star. It's like like I said, Luca got bumped. He had a lot of bruises, and in the finals, he had a bloody knee in every game. Uh, so I mean that the physicality of the game in both WNBA and NBA has skyrocketed. But there's uh, we call it cheap shot. But the one point I want, uh, the root of all this is jealousy.
Yep.
When the sisters get jealous of another sister, they all gang up to go after that other sister.
That's
And
crazy. And it's across the board on every WNBA team, it seems like, except for Indiana. And maybe not so much Dallas. I haven't seen Dallas do anything to Caitlin Clark, but it's like all the other teams, they after her.
yeah, but Paige Beckers is not getting the same treatment. They're not trying to injure Paige Beckers, and she's she's got that Instagram follow base. To give you a point, Wild Dog and I went to the Fever Wings game at the AAC a couple weeks ago, and I'm not exaggerating. 75% of the stadium either had an Iowa Caitlin Clark or an Indiana Fever Caitlin Clark jersey on.
Mm.
The people sitting next to us had drove all the way up from the hill country to come see it. The people sitting right in front of us all drove all the way up from Houston to come see Caitlin Clark. She didn't play that game, and they're gonna play again August 1st. They're gonna go back to the AAC.
Back to the AC. Yes.
But
yes.
they had people driving in from not only Texas, there were people driving in from other states just to see that game. And some of the tickets cost more than what a Mavericks game in the same seat would cost.
It's like, dude.
So that tells you the power of media and marketing. But I will hand this: Caitlin Clark has handled it with class and grace. She doesn't strike back. She does her business, and I don't know if you've seen it, the new State Farm commercial they've been pushing. It's like, why can't I just need a logo. And so Jake from State Farm paints a logo everywhere, and she's like, she starts hitting everything. So, and what's crazy is the NBA players, the brotherhood really support her. And they don't want to see fights breaking out. Talent recognizes talent. So it's just a lot of jealousy, in my opinion, from the sisterhood, and they need to cut that out.
I agree. And speaking of talent, there is some talent that just now moved to Houston. And Houston moved out quite a few players to get this guy in. And we're talking about Kevin Durant going to Houston. That's interesting. At this point, he's really a journeyman in the latter years of his career. Bob, I know you had an opportunity to see the news about KD going to Houston. What are your thoughts on him? What Houston's going to be like? Do you think they're going to make it out the second round or maybe the first round? What are their potential? And we can talk about the players Houston lost just to get them, and they gained some more players as well. But give me your thoughts on the move of KD to Houston.
Well, when he was in Oklahoma City, he was initially known as Durantula. Is Houston a better team? No. In my opinion, no.
They're not better than Phoenix?
Now, I'm talking about compared to the team that finished second last year with Dillon Brooks and Jalen Green, the two main players they traded away. Are they a better team from a team standpoint? Now, statistically, I don't think they're a better team. Are they a better offense? They're instantly a better offense. And if you watched when they got knocked out of the playoffs, they didn't have a go-to guy that could get them a bucket. But KD only plays defense when he wants to. That was the knock on him when he was in Oklahoma City. Scotty Brooks, and then later on, the guy from Florida, they couldn't get him to play defense. Well, Golden State, Steve Kerr changed that, and you see him make some blocks, but he takes a lot of plays off on defense. If he gets beat, he doesn't try for the comeback block. And he saves a lot of energy just for offense. So if you want a gunner and a guy that can get you a bucket, maybe in late game, close the game out for you. But he didn't elevate Phoenix. I mean, Phoenix made the NBA Finals. Then what? 2 years later, 3 years later, with Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal, they can't even get into the play-in tournament. So
Mm.
I don't think, Sagoon and they traded Cam Whitmore. They still have a plethora of first-round picks.
Yeah,
Uh,
they still have Amon Thompson, Fred Van Vliet, and Jabari Smith is still there.
Yeah, and Jabari Smith's probably overrated. Let's hope Cooper Flag don't turn into Jabari Smith. Nice player, but nothing to rock. I can't believe Orlando was debating between him and Banchero for the first pick. But Jalen Green looked good guard, but he wasn't great. He wasn't a superstar. And like Wild Dog likes to say, in the third, fourth year, you got to turn that corner. And he's a good player, solid player, but I don't. Van Fleet's won a ring. Uh, if
And Toronto.
they added Clint Capella and a couple other veterans, so they've got a mixture of youth, and so they'll have a nice deep bench. Uh, but I don't. They were pretty good last year. I just don't see them being better. The only thing you really added was a guy who can put the ball in the hoop. He scored 30,000 points. He's only like 1,700 points away from passing Michael Jordan. Uh, but I don't recall Kevin Durant ever being on an All NBA defensive team. Uh, so there's a reason two-way players are remembered, even though we traded for one. Uh, I I think that Houston, the second seed is probably where they'll be.
Hmm.
Uh, they them or Minnesota, maybe even Denver that's added something might make it to the Western Conference Finals. But I don't,
Mm.
as a team, I don't see them better scoring. But you you got to have somebody that can play defense for KD. With him, it's a want to. So
Yeah. Well, dog, I mean, your thoughts when you heard KD going to Houston, you're shaking your head. So you don't think it's going to be a good fit, especially Ime Udoka, man. You think he can put this team to a point where it's playing like they did this year, cohesively, defensively, all that good stuff?
Um, let me premise with this, Big Mike. Okay, when I heard out of Houston that they were like, we're good with the players we have. We have our development, and when they say that, they also mean alignment of their contracts, like the age, right? The age and contract obligations of their players, all on the line. They're good. They're basically not willing to risk their future for anything. They're not willing to risk their future, period. And that was it. And then this happens. And I'm disappointed because I'm like, Houston's finally come back around where they have an identity
So let me ask you this question:
and
Do you
and
think
and
even
establish a culture. And
right?
Big, it costs too much. It costs too much. Now, KD might, like you said, he's a journeyman. Journeyman can start or sit at the end of the bench. So, what is going to be a shift in their culture? Or honestly, Big Mike, is KD be able to come in like soft butter and slide in everywhere?
Again, let me ask you this question though. Do you think them getting away from Jalen Green, that was I mean, what was the reasoning? I don't get why they got rid of the kid. I don't know if he played very well with the squad, but I guess they was looking for more offense. But you get a little bit of defense and offense with Jalen Green, and I thought he was going to be the face of the franchise.
I don't know, Big Mike. Sometimes it's about, you know, a vision in people fit, or sometimes it's about, oh, your value for missing pieces. But point blank to me, it personally, it doesn't. I don't agree with it. It doesn't make sense.
So they're in a win now type of deal if you really think about it.
Yeah, but you could win later and again and be a consistent competitor. This whole win now, man, and even the times of buying a chip, man, that's so risky and flaky. And then even if you do, who likes it anymore? And we've seen how Basketball Nation has responded to, you did this, you did that. Oh, it's hella pushback on players, on organizations, and even on the league on where are we going with basketball? Where are we going with the league with some of this stuff? Why did the league allow that trade? Well, certain strict bylaws where they can, they can't interfere. They just get reported of what's going on, and they record it, Now, if it violates a bylaw or something like that, then of course they act. But otherwise, the league is hush and monitors. So, man, I'm just disappointed. Not that he, got picked up, of course, but Houston.
And I will say this: the ownership in Houston, not much different than the ownership of the Mavericks. They're casino owners. They're gambler
Yeah.
owners.
Hey, Boogie, but Boogie, I felt like, didn't they play this out already with James Harden? Haven't they already seen this already? Haven't they already done this already in Houston? Haven't they already tried to go for a star because some people's mentality is, you have to. If you can get it done, you have to go for James Harden. You have to go for a Kevin Durant. No, you don't. You have to protect your culture and determine if someone is an actual fit for what you got now and for your future. So I felt like they tried this already.
It's weird that you said James Harden because they also had Russell Westbrook as well. So they had all three of the big threes from Oklahoma back in the day.
Dwight Howard, CP3, they tried that. They brought in Tracy McGrady when they got Yao Ming. So, do you want to settle for long term or do you want to settle for short term? And even through different ownerships, that Houston settles for the short term. But it's not just Houston win now or Dallas. It's a win now league. When you're paying billions of dollars for a franchise, it's show me the money, show me that championship, and Gary Payton was on one of the podcasts talking about this the other day. Like all these billionaires buying the league is ruining the NBA.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Big Mike, I mean, I've been privy to numbers, and winning a chip doesn't always necessarily equate to dollars and cents.
Thanks.
If you're operating in the red, winning a chip is no guarantee that you're going to be in the black from then on.
And you got to have great marketing. And I think when we were spoiled with Mark Cuban buying the Mavs back in those times, that marketing and the way he implemented a lot of things, it gave us the opportunity to win. And that's one thing you can't say knock him for. He always had the tenacity to win games. And speaking about chips, Waldo, do you think, since they won it this year, 2025, OKC did win the NBA championship, and congratulations to the guys up 35 north from us. We in Big D Day in Oklahoma, OKC. Can they repeat? And if they can, do they need to add anything or do they keep what they had? Because they've been paying all their players. They big three, Chet, Jalen, and SGA all got paid, and so they're gonna lose some players because those are some big contracts those boys got. But can they repeat?
Yes, sir. Well, the first thing I noted was that, oh man, they're running out of money quick. We're gonna be talking about skirts and aprons and slips and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, man, they run out of money quick. Somebody gonna have to give up some money, SGA. Right? And then the next thing I noticed is that during the draft, right, that they Yeah, they took their number 15 overall, right? Thomas Sorber, but they gave up and traded their number 24 pick, and then took Brooks Barnheiser in the second round. It just puzzled me, Big Mike. What I'm asking the question, I'm like, what are they doing? It puzzled me.
They're pushing their first round picks further down the line. Because they don't have roster spots. So they got like 20 first round picks from now till 2029. That any of those that they can push out further till later, that's what they're doing.
Yeah,
And second round picks don't hit your cap like a first round pick does.
yeah. And I noticed they push it out to 2027. But again, at the same time, I know it's a delicate game that general managers have to play. But when you're running out of money, and like Big Mike said, that's going to end up causing you to lose certain players that you can't compete against their market value. You try to compete against another team and match the offer, and you can't, right? Then you're going to start losing those players. And then where is your future? I know they have a strong team now, but they're not quite as deep as other teams. They're not even as deep as Indiana. They just beat Indiana Pacers, but they're not as deep as the Indiana Pacers are. So
but the difference between them and the Celtics having to offload money is they've got first round picks that they believe they can replace any talent they have with a first round pick.
So do you think they'll return to the NBA championship for 2026?
No, they need and then my third point was that I haven't heard anything about any moves they're trying to make. They're celebrating. We're in the middle of free agency, and it's like like Big Boogie Bob has pointed out before, and then even now, all their draft capital. Why didn't you use any of it? Why didn't you use any of it to help beef yourself up? Even to bring in another journeyman, even to bring in someone who's, that's my 3 points, and I'm just like, no. And then the fact that in these times, it's like no one's repeating. It's so tough to repeat now. Competition's so much higher now. I just feel like, yeah, I get what you're seeing there. With it being so much competition and teams unable to repeat, but at the same time, I see greedy billionaires thinking they can ride the wave, right? And then dysfunction. So that's what I'm seeing, and I would double down on that. I love eating crow when I'm wrong, but that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing greed. People think they can ride the wave of winning a chip and think that's going to be all end all, right? And so no.
Boogie Bob. Will they, man? I mean, I see that. I think they'll get back there, in my opinion. I don't know who in the West besides, like you said, Minnesota has a very good chance of getting there, and I hope they do. I really want to see Minnesota get there, just for Anthony Edwards' sake. Do you think Oklahoma can get past Minnesota if Minnesota gets back to the Western Conference Finals and face off against Oklahoma? I think, in my opinion, I think Oklahoma will. I don't know if they'll repeat because they had a struggle against Indiana, but can they get back there? Yes. But let me get your thoughts on it, Boogie Bob.
Well, for the for the listeners, if this is your first time listening in, I grew up in Oklahoma, so my first initial team was the 76ers. We'll talk about them a little later. My my wallet goes to the Mavericks, has for decades, as Wild Dog can attest.
Wallet goes to Swish for real, guys.
Swish for real. But I've always kind of admired Sam Presti and what he's done, even when he had Durant, Westbrook, and Harden, and to rebuild that team by trading 2 key pieces and rebuild it again and collect all those first round picks. So no matter whether Indiana or Oklahoma City won, I was going to, whether Carlisle got it or Oklahoma City. So and the city turned out. They had over 500,000 people for the parade,
Mm.
and Oklahoma City itself is barely. Oklahoma City proper is not even 1 million people. Uh, so a lot of people turned out. I don't think they'll repeat, as Wild Dog alluded. There has not been a repeat winner in the NBA since the Miami Heat in 2013 and 2012.
Jeez.
So you're talking 12 years, 12 years since it's been a repeat champion. Uh, we already seeing what's happened with, I think even with if Tatum doesn't get hurt, I think Boston was they knew they were gonna hit that financial crunch. Uh,
Mm.
so they wanted to keep Tatum and Brown together. So Porzingis and Holiday were a luxury. Uh, you mentioned the contracts, so the starting five are locked up for the next 4 years. So it is their bench that Wild Dog's talking about, being able to pay bench players. But they spent $500 million on between Chet Holmgren, J
Three
Dub,
players.
and SGA, $500 million. Uh,
I think it's
that
a
money's
little.
got
Well, J Dub got like 100 and what 50,000, 160 somewhere around.
Gracious, good Lord.
well, and SGA is going to be 70 million a year that the Mavericks didn't want to pay Luca, and it's the
Mm.
same draft. Uh, I
Whew.
think we add that to a topic. If the 2018 draft we talked about being one of the best drafts, if there was a redraft, we'll have to talk about that in the future. Who would be the top five in 2018? But SGA signed for 70 million a year. Uh, he is good. He's one of four players to win MVP, scoring title, and MVP of the finals. Uh, that might be one of the things you talk about rule changes, that shoulder to knock the defender off balance and then get the shot off. Uh, that could potentially be a rule change. But they have a lot of young players. They have a lot of second round players that are on the cheap. Uh, so at some point, not next year, but in the next 3 or 4 years, it's going to get expensive. I don't think they're going to repeat because there's just too much competition. They finished first in the regular season 2 years in a row. And when you win a chip, the worst team in the NBA is going to play their best game of the year against you.
Mhm.
So they're going to have 82 playoff games before they ever get to the playoffs.
And they're gonna
And
be headhunting. You know it, Boogie. They're gonna be headhunting.
they are going to be headhunting. And not that regular season record carries over into the playoffs, but before the Luka trade, the Mavericks had beat Oklahoma City 3 out of 4 games. And Luka didn't play in 2 of those games. So you talk about Hartenstein and Holmgren, and then the well runs dry as far as big guys. Like, how they going to handle AD and D-Lie and PJ and Cooper Flag and
Mm.
Clay Thompson? I mean, that's a lot of height, length, and they're not slow. I've always said it don't matter if you're 7'6". If you can't get your feet there, it don't matter how tall you are. So we
Well,
got big guys that aren't slow. We got big
I,
guys that are fast.
I want to say that like with the youth that they have, because they average 25 years old. As far as Oklahoma, they got a fairly young team, to be
Yeah.
honest. So I don't know if
Well,
they.
you don't have a roster spot that, unlike, say they wanted to go after Giannis,
Mhm.
they're gonna have to gut some of that bench. They literally have they're a year or two ahead of schedule, but they have more picks than they have roster spots. Uh, Unless you stash somebody over in Europe, it's like you've got to either push those chips out into the future or buy some superstar, which means you got to match salary. Uh, I don't. I think I read somewhere they're going to be, not this year, but the following year they'll be in the first apron. They don't hit the second apron for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So it they have a long runway compared to other teams, but the competition in the West, uh, I love Caruso. Loved him when he was on the 2020 Lakers.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
the guy is just a winner,
Yeah.
a scrapper. uh, but him and Hartenstein are signed for like 2 or 3 years. The thing is what are you going to do if SGA has an injury like Kyrie did and he's
Well,
out?
if they had to get rid of one of the big three, and I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to answer because you got SGA, you got Jalen, and you got Jalen Williams, and you got Chet Holmgren. If they had to get rid of one of those guys for Giannis, who would you think they would get rid of first? Because they comparing SGA and Jalen Williams like Michael and Scotty, but I don't know. You know, that's an
Yeah,
accurate
and
assessment.
actually that comparison, Scottie Pippen during the finals, he said, "Who does J Dub remind you of?" And he said, "Me." And it was the next day on First Take on ESPN. They were saying, "Is SGA and J Dub the new Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen of the NBA?" Uh, and they could be. Uh, but let's not forget, Chet Holmgren saved their butt after they got beat on the perimeter quite a bit. And
True.
they took a local boy, Casey Wallace. We traded with him. They got a lot of perimeter defenders.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you naturally would probably say Chet Holmgren, but I wouldn't be so sure that J Dub's inconsistent. He's got a high ceiling, but he got a really low floor.
Mm.
Uh, I could, if you're going to swap somebody out, I think I would keep Holmgren for the defense and let his offense grow. And even though you hate to give up J-Dub, you got to give up money. You got to equal salary. I'd give up J-Dub. I think I love his game during the finals. He looked great. I don't know that he's a Scottie Pippen, but we'll see.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of teams that had some great players, I again, I'm not a big fan of Oklahoma, but I'm not mad at them either. Let's talk about the Philadelphia 76ers when we go into our player legacy um, section of Swish for Real. Wild Dog, everybody knows now that you are a big Sixers fans from back in the day.
Yep. I actually meant to wear my Michelin Ness throwback 76 shirt, but I'm glad we're matching. I'm glad we're twinning today, but I actually meant to wear my 76ers throwback t-shirt.
Give us the audience your thoughts on the 76ers, that franchise, and some of the great players that came through that franchise as well.
Now, Big Mike, I'm different. And I talk so much about the 76ers, promoting their legacy. And even occasionally, I find myself defending them a bit and defending some of their legacy players. But the debate usually doesn't last long. And so tonight, again, I'm just taking a little bit of spin here, right? A little bit of spin. So I want to give some flowers to a couple of guys. One who really meant a lot to me, and I watched a lot of his games on film.
I know who you're talking about.
And then another player that, unless you're in the arena looking up at the rafters, you may not even think about him. Okay? So first off, let me go in with my guy, man, Billy Cunningham.
Oh, I thought you were going to say somebody else.
And what people don't, sometimes realize, they just think of Billy Cunningham, the coach. Yes, He coached the 76ers, and they won the chip in 1983. Okay? But he also was with the 76ers as a player when they won the chip in 1967. Yes, I know it. I said it. 1967. And yes, in 1967, there was color TV back then. Okay. So again, we talked about Penny Hardaway earlier, but again, this is another man who loved the game and came full circle, and so blessed having played for the team and won the chip, then being able to coach the team up and win a chip. My guy, my first original, that's my coach, Billy Cunningham. Okay. So I told you I was going a little bit left. And then my other guy, again, unless you're in the arena looking up in the rafters, for some reason he's often easily forgotten. He is a 10-time All-Star, Hall of Famer, named NBA Top 50 in 1996. And his number 15 hangs up in the rafters. And this is my guy, Hal Greer. Even his name, it tells you old school.
Hal Greer. He's a point guard. Okay.
Harold
Everett Greer, American professional basketball player and coach. He played for Syracuse back in the day. Wow.
Yeah, back in the day, and of course he's even had been won the championship in 1967 with Billy Cunningham.
Dang.
Okay? And of course with all those All-Stars, he did manage a All-Star MVP, and of course he was all the NBA 7 times, and I'm glad that the Hall of Fame, I'm glad the NBA has been pretty good about not letting guys like Hal Greer just fall through the cracks.
Yeah, because wasn't the Sixers part of the ABA?
Yes. Yeah.
They were the Squires.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he did a little bit of time with the Syracuse Nationals. I think you mentioned that he was drafted by the Syracuse Nationals.
Yeah.
So back then, ball is ball, and I think, I know, because I've tried to push for a fix. I'll continue to, but not as hard as when I was, in the NBA with the Mavericks and working with the NBA. But the ABA numbers are not calculated. So I know Boogie's the numbers guy. So oftentimes when I'm going old school black and white, I just skip past the numbers because I know these players have been robbed a part of their legacy because the ABA numbers have not been carried over into the NBA.
So if you had to, and I'm gonna ask you the same question too, Bob, or when it's your turn, if you had to put a face to the franchise in regards to players that describes what the Sixers meant and is a representative of the Sixers itself, what player would that be?
Oh man, for me, maybe I'm just biased. That's got to be Dr. J, Julius Erving. Because, of course, we're a legacy team, but when the 76ers managed to,
leave some food on the plate.
Get on him, I'm just like the entertainment factor. Like, I know it's sports. He could play and he could ball. He gets overlooked a lot. But his entertainment factor, the way he would get things done would just be like, wow. And then some canvas shoes.
Yeah.
And
he was a Rutgers legend too.
And that's what I was just about to say, Big Mike. And one thing about Dr. J, when I have to defend him, right, is I say, hey, this is one person that won at all levels. And I'm telling you now, he was the king of the blacktop, and he was the king of the NBA. And you can't say that about any other NBA player. That he was literally donned as the king of the blacktop, and then coming in the NBA as the king of the NBA in his time.
Well,
that
if
usually
you had,
that
if
shuts
you wanted to say that,
down the debate.
Right.
That shuts down the debate.
No. Yeah, I don't. There's two. There's one guy that comes to mind that played very well in Rutgers too, and he showed out. There's two actually. Kobe Bryant played in Rutgers, was off the chain. Everybody was like,
Yes,
"That kid is
yes,
amazing."
yes,
And Kevin Durant, didn't he drop like 70 at Rutgers?
yes. But
So,
neither one of them were Don King.
explain.
So, like in your era, when times are coming through, a lot of NBA players and college players are coming through, right? And then you have people who are like dedicated blacktop players, right? So Kobe Bryant has a very good reputation, a stellar reputation on the blacktop, more than Kevin Durant. But again, I don't know if he refused it or declined, but he was not designated king of the blacktop because Dr. J came through in college, he came through in his ABA years, he came through in his NBA years. Do you understand the difference? He was like dedicated to promoting and supporting, blacktop basketball.
Yeah, he would be one person in general I would love to meet besides Chris Webber. Boogie Bob, Philadelphia 76ers, man. They again, like I was mentioning to Wild Dog, they have such a storied franchise. It is in itself. There's a lot of great players. I'm not gonna mention any. I know I will leave some food on the plate for you. So just give us your thoughts on the legacy of the franchise, the Philadelphia 76ers, and some of the players that really, kind of sparked your interest in that franchise.
Well, first, before I go into that, I know Wild Dog likes old players, but as one of his favorite players, he would have he would say this to his selection: terrible, just terrible.
The
Yeah.
round mound of rebounds.
Yeah.
Round mound of rebound. Charles Barkley is known for several teams.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm surprised the Wild Dog didn't mention him. So my apologies, Mr. Sir Charles. Uh, in inside the NBA on TNT now to be on ESPN, Mr. Barkley. We apologize. Swish for real. We
Hey,
still got you covered. Uh,
hey,
Gotcha.
hey, Mr. Barkley, we good. You know, I know I met Barkley. We friends. We good.
so
No apology necessary. We good.
so the the one I picked is the whole reason I started watching NBA games in the first place. Dr. J. Julius Irving,
Hmm.
Maurice Cheeks, Andrew
Yep.
Toney, Bobby Jones, Dr. J, Daryl Chocolate Thunder Dawkins, and then
Mm,
they traded and got this guy from Houston called Moses Malone. When
mm.
they went to the finals, he said, "Fo, fo, fo." So, Bobby Jones was sixth man. Billy Cunningham, I think, started, but that was a starting five. And what most people, unless you follow it, uh, 82, they were up 3-1 against Larry Bird and the Celtics
Mm.
in the Eastern Conference Finals
1982.
and lost.
Yeah,
Dang.
it broke my
And I I literally started following NBA basketball in 76 when the NBA and ABA merged. And I watched Dr. J.
Right.
I like the man, just smooth, just, palm the ball and just, you can't do it on camera, but just, you take off and hold it and then,
MJ
so
picked up on that. That's why MJ worked on that. Was because of Dr. J.
Yeah.
So y'all
so
MJ fans, when MJ's doing all this and you don't, yeah.
so they won the chip in 83. They won the chip in 83. I was a happy man because my college roommate in 83 was a big Celtics fan. And he let me have it in 82 when they lost. Came back so in 83, it was his senior year. I was a junior when we were getting the engineering degree. So I let him have it when we won the chip finally. Uh, Here's Dr. J's career stats: 24.2 points per game, 8.5 rebounds per game at small forward, 4.2 assists per game. 16 seasons he played in all told, ABA and NBA. 16 seasons. He's so revered, they have him as a judge for the slam dunk contest, which I'll get to in a minute.
True.
16 seasons, he made a total of a whopping $10 million.
Oh man, Dr. J.
As a face of the league, dog.
That's in SGA's new contract. That's 10 games.
Dude, yeah.
16 seasons, 16 times All-Star.
First team all the way, or just second team?
Well, he was All-Star. Not the NBA team. I'll talk about that in a minute. But he was an All-Star 16 times out of 16 seasons. 4-time MVP.
Dang.
You don't need more than one hand to count the number of players that have won 4 MVPs. 12 times he got MVP voting shares. 7 times he was all NBA. 5 of those were on the first team.
Well, okay, so he played for 16 seasons. He won it 4 times for his MVP. So he was nominated MVP all throughout his career, is what you're saying.
Well, he either had a voting share or he won the MVP 16 out of the 16 seasons. He won 4
crazy.
And he got voting shares in the other 12.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So 7-time All-NBA, 5 of those were first team. He won 3 scoring titles. And this is after he played 5 years in the ABA. He won 3 scoring titles. He won 3 slam dunk contests. I think Michael won 2. I don't know of any other player. I didn't look it up, but I don't know of any other player that's won 3 slam dunk contests.
Hey, did Vince Carter win like 2?
I would it'd either be like Vince Carter or Dominique Wilkins, maybe, or Michael Jordan, one of those. But 3, that's pretty rare.
But Dr. J won the first. He won the very first slam dunk contest. So
and then a stat that you'll like, Mike. One time he made the all NBA defensive first team.
I love some defense.
He was rookie of the year, second place ABA. I'm getting into the ABA. He not only won the chip in '83 as an NBA player, but he won 2 chips as an ABA for the Philadelphia Squires.
And he a 3-time champion, to be honest.
3-time champion.
3-time.
As we've talked about the slam dunk, the free throw dunk that Jordan's so famous for, taking off at the free throw line and dunking it.
Mm-hmm.
That was Dr. J.
Yeah.
And to Wild Dog's point, and one day it will happen, just like Pete Rose is now eligible for Hall of Fame. One day they'll add the ABA stats.
Oh,
and when they do, Dr. J had 30,000 points between the ABA and the NBA. One of only 7 players, because Kevin Durant had only one of seven players to score 30,000 in their career.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 16,000 of those were in the NBA. So he, like I said, he played 5 years in the ABA, but it just the first pro game I saw was like 76 or 77, and I'm like, I watched him, and then in college there was a player, and they weren't similar, they played the same position, and the Mavericks were lucky to get him, but Mark Aguirre could pick up the ball off the dribble with his hand, and he would go up and hold it and then dunk it. And he was only like 6'4", 6'5", but when they show the NBA Finals, most of the time they show Dr. J. If my head is the rim, he's coming from this side, goes past the rim, and dunks it. Reverse dunk. I mean, the guy had some serious hang time. It looked like he was just floating in the air. So that's Dr. J is the reason I became an NBA fan in the first place.
So he would be like, if you had to put a face to the franchise, he would be the one that you would mention, like he is the face of the franchise when it comes to this.
Unequivocally, yes.
Yeah.
You have any honorable mentions besides Charles Barkley?
There's always like Andrew Toney, but Maurice Cheeks was the point guard on that team. But Bobby Jones was the worker on that team.
Yes.
And
yes.
Bobby Jones was kind of like McAdoo was for the Lakers.
Yeah.
Billy Cunningham might be up there. When Barkley got traded, the Sixers drafted a guy they thought could take his place called Clarence Weatherspoon.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he wasn't a bad player. He was pretty good, but I got to actually see him play in person in the old Garden, the Sixers versus the Celtics in 1993.
Wow.
The day after they retired Larry Bird's jersey, and I was sitting like 10 rows up above Bill Walton. But Clarence Weatherspoon was playing for the Sixers at the time. I was like, he's good, but he's not Charles Barkley.
See.
Now, like honorable mention, I would have mentioned would probably been Allen Iverson, Joel Embiid, and maybe Elton Brand. Even Drew Holiday played for the 76ers back in the day.
Yeah, and Elton Brand, his nickname was 2010.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Yeah, like we're talking about nicknames in Penny Hardaway, that he was called Mr. 2010 because when he played at Philly, he averaged over 20 points a game and 10 rebounds a game before he went to the Clippers. He played 1 or 2 years for the Mavericks, but AI, I think if, that was when rap came out and having a posse and, had the kind of the hood element. And I guess maybe I liked AI, but I just kind of was more of a purist in that sense. Now, I wouldn't have want to have to guard AI if I was a player in the NBA. Like you talk about these people that break their ankles trying to guard Harden or Luka. Like AI today, those guys that have broken ankles all the time.
Salute, Chuck. Salute, AI.
Yeah. So I will give you one name that was on that team with AI that went to the finals, and he played for the Mavericks, and I liked his Raja Bell.
Raja Bell. I thought you was gonna say Iguodala until you said Dallas.
Yeah, Iguodala was good. He played with Brand. I don't know if he played with AI, but Raja Bell was kind of the glue guy. He was the Alex Caruso of that team. So
nice. Anything else you want to add to that 76ers legacy?
Well, not really. They've given us a lot of entertainment and a lot of entertainment value over the years, and so I think Charles Barkley probably identified more as a 76er than any other team, even though he went to the finals with the Suns and played with Houston and Pippen and Olajuwon. He, roots are roots, no matter whether you move to a different house.
Thanks. Man, interesting. I'm glad we had an opportunity to share with you guys the legacy of the Philadelphia 76ers. It's been a great show, by the way, guys. We are about to sign off, and Wild Dog, let the people know where they can find you on these social media streets, man.
Hey, like Boogie said, I'm the good dog. I don't be doing too much, so you can just find me on YouTube. I do pretty much everything on YouTube. So, but now I don't know how that's gonna mess me up, but you can find me at Wild Dog Media, right? Because some flaky dude has Wild Dog And I'm like, dude, you're not doing anything with it. Let it go. And I'm just like, but I figured it out. So Wild Dog Media, that's Wild DOWG Media on YouTube, doing commentary, contributing to friends and panels, always talking sports, or or even speaking on life. Seek the truth, speak the truth, and as always, representing Swish for real, baby.
It's for real, baby. Boogie Bob, man. Great show as always. I didn't get my shades. I'm gonna wear them next time. Tell the people where they can find you in the social media streets, man, to give you your social media handles.
Well, my YouTube subscribership has gone up, so thanks for those that are watching and have been watching. So you can find me at Boogie Bob. Most people try to spell it with an IE. You probably still find me. It's spelled with an EY. But Swish for real.
It's for real, baby.
Up here, right there in the corner. Right there in the corner. Subscribe, like, comment. We appreciate all the feedback you want to give us.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can find me on X, Mikhail Lampkin /poet director. And as I mentioned on the last episode, we are almost done with the short film I wrote and directed. We did the sound design today, so it should be out hopefully next week. Cross your fingers, but we're trying to get it out there as soon as possible. And in my opinion, look good. But yeah, I'll let the people judge and let me know what you think. You can always find me here at Swish for Real. You give my little commentary as I can. I got two great hosts, get a co-host here, so I don't have to say much, but just give my little intake. But it's been a great show, guys. I appreciate y'all. I'm giving you weekend back. Swish for Real. We are out, baby. Peace.
That's it, Pring.